One down and four to go. Hello and welcome to Maruti Suzuki Arena presents ESPN Cricinfo Match Day. We are focusing on the second ODI between Australia and India at the VCA Stadium in Jamthan, Nagpur. No, you only don't have just me for company. You might see an empty studio next to me, but through the marvels of technology, I'm delighted to have Brad Hodge from the comforts of his home and Deep Dasgupta from the comforts of his joining us for the next half hour or so. There they are, good men, all rise and shiny. Looks like they've had a shower as well. Deep, let me go to you first. Virat Kohli saying, interestingly, in spite of losing the toss, that he wouldn't have mind having a bat first, given that this pitch is going to deteriorate.
Yeah, I'm not surprised for a couple of reasons. One, as Virat and you both mentioned, because I was there for the Ranji Trophy finals. I saw the Irani Trophy as well. This tends to kind of stay a little low. It turns, but it's a slow turner. So I don't think it's going to be a high scoring game. It's not going to be a 300, 280, 300 kind of a pitch. And I believe second half might be a little more difficult, even though it'll be under lights. The other important thing is off late. If you look at what Virat is trying to do, or the team management is, they're trying to bat first because they know they're good at chasing, but they're also trying to bat first and see how they can kind of defend a total and all that.
Okay, when we did the preview to this game, Hodgie, you were with us, and we did say that 5 out of 5 for the team chasing in the last 5 at Nagpur. I don't know if sometimes those details tend to play in the minds of the visiting team, but having won the toss, Aaron Finch decides to chase. It looks like from his team choices too, he's expecting some turn as Nathan Lyon comes in for Jason Behrendorff, and there's also a return for Sean Marsh in place of Ashton Turner. Thoughts?
Yeah, well, I wasn't quite sure whether Sean Marsh would make it in time, but clearly he's got there, which is good news for Australia. He's performed well. Look, Aaron Finch has probably gone on a statistics call, hasn't he, where, chasing at Nagpur, it's usually a high-scoring venue, and the team chasing has generally got the job done. But Virat was quite happy, actually, to don the pads on and get out there. So, if there is turn, it'll probably favour India more than it will favour Australia.
And all this talk about turn, you'd think, Deep, that then there'd be a case for Virat Kohli to play his premier spin bowling options, maybe have room for Yuzvendra Chahal, but it seems to be the exact same team he's gone for. Do you understand that?
Yes, I can, because you've got quite a few things happening right now. Yes, winning is your first priority. Winning the series is your first priority. Also, to look at other options. If Hardik is not fit for the World Cup, or is not likely to play all the games in the World Cup, then what are the options? Do you have Vijay Shankar, or would you have someone like Jadeja, who comes in as an all-rounder? So I think those are the things that are still on the team management's mind. And when I looked at the first ODI team as well, I thought some of them were kind of on trial kind of a thing. For example, the names that I've taken, Jadeja, Vijay Shankar, I think they'll be on, the team management would want to look at them and see, listen, whether you can under pressure defend or not. So I don't see any reason why they should have, because end of the day, these are the last 4 games that you've got before the World Cup, and you want to give them as many opportunities as possible.
Okay, now a quick look at the playing 11, and you mentioned, Deep, that there is the opportunity in this series to try and play a few of those players that perhaps haven't still confirmed their place for that World Cup squad. You know that about 12, 13 guys pick themselves, but you mentioned the likes of Vijay Shankar, Ravindra Jadeja does find place in this team. The question that I often ask is, when Hardik Pandya goes out, that balance seems to be disrupted significantly. And you make the point, there's a good chance now with his inconsistency in terms of fitness that Hardik Pandya may not play every game in the World Cup. In which case, is this your ideal 11, Deep? Are you still worried that there's still room to try more? There's still possibility of putting in both wrist spinners?
But it looks highly unlikely if Hardik is not fit, because then you're putting in 2 wrist spinners and the batting looks a little weak. Then someone like Bhuvneshwar, if he's playing, he's going to bat at number 7, which for me, I think, because end of the day, you have to play 3 seamers. There's no 2 ways about it. I think India will go in with 3 seamers, but then that becomes an issue, to play both the wrist spinners. So this is another option, because I honestly feel it is very important now that as you mentioned, you've got your 12, 13 in place. But what is going to be your right combination for the first game? What is the combination? What is the playing 11 that you're looking for in the first game? Because that is going to be a very, very important aspect, because you can't change team game, right? So that's going to be a thing that I'm sure the team management is looking at.
Okay, let's have a quick look at the Australia playing 11-2 and confirmation that Sean Marsh does return to this team. So that's a welcome return. As much as his test form has been an issue, Hodgie, the fact is he's been in very good touch in the 50-over format. Not sure about how you rate his recent Big Bash season. Some good innings and some low scores, but Sean Marsh just adds a lot more stability to that batting lineup. I'm very curious to know what Nathan Lyon and Adam Zampa together could pose bowling in one-day cricket, which I've not seen very often.
Yeah, well, it'd be interesting to watch. Zampa in particular seems to have got a new lease of life on his spin action. He's doing really well. Nathan Lyon played out here in Australia, in the recent series and didn't really trouble the Indian batsmen too much. But I think Sean Marsh just brings some good stability back in the lineup. He performed extremely well after the Test series where he had some tough times. And another left-hander in the middle as well, which that'll help Australia's cause for sure, trying to deal with their spin issue that they can consistently have.
All right, now those are two spinners that are going to have the task of bowling not just to India's top order, but to certainly now we can say without doubt an in-form Mahendra Singh Dhoni, if there was any doubt. And yes, I admit I was one of those that did have my doubts, but MS Dhoni certainly seems to have proven his critics wrong for the time being. Just look at how Dhoni does at the VCA Stadium in Nagpur. It is one of his happier hunting grounds. If you look at just the numbers, and Dhoni tends to get the numbers right, not only here, but he's also had a very good 2019. So that's the other point we need to mention. There is a different story around Dhoni, Deep, when India must bat first. How best do they utilize him?
Yeah, that's true. But again, having said that, I think Dhoni-Kedar combination is really looking good. Looking at the whole 2019, I think Kedar and Dhoni together, they make a lot of sense. They're very similar to a great extent, their temperament and all. But yeah, I mean, I still think he's going to bat at number 5. You want him roughly around that 25 over mark. If that means coming and batting at number 4, so be it. But yeah, I mean, I think number 5 is where he would want to bat.
I'd still think, though, Australia did one part of the hard job for bowlers, opposition bowlers, Hodgie, in the last game. That's get the top 3 out reasonably cheaply, as there were starts for Rohit and Virat. But then it sort of got too easy, not too easy, but there wasn't as much pressure as because of the chase. Without Jason Behrendorff, what did they lose out on? I'm not sure if India would be so worried about Nathan Lyon with the wide ball. We saw that even in the 3 ODIs in Australia. Is this a call that's strictly dictated by the conditions, or would you still like to see them go hard at India with a bit more pace?
Look, it can only be conditions, but I like to think that Behrendorff was probably the only one that was going to troubleshoot at Darwin and also Rohit Sharma. Rohit Sharma, if he has got any technical issue at all, it's facing a left arm seam bowler that swings it back in. So now that that's taken out, probably pencil Rohit in for about 170 because I'm not sure how you're going to get him out today. He's a quality player, and if you take one of those players out that can disrupt the Indian lineup. I mean, the only way that Australia are going to win this game is to get them 3 or 4 down early before 100. So, not sure taking one of your strike bowlers out of the lineup is going to have any help whatsoever.
Yeah, could have been a toss-up for another seamer. Yes, Deep, I think India would be pretty happy playing Nathan Lyon.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, a couple of things here. One is I thought Jason Behrendorff is a fantastic new ball bowler, but end of the day, I don't think Aaron Finch and the Australian team management make him bowl in the death that often. That is one. Secondly, this Nagpur stadium, if you look at the dimension, the square boundaries are pretty wide and it's a longish side boundary. So that also makes sense that you can afford to play someone like Nathan Lyon, another spinner, because the ground is pretty big actually in Nagpur.
If you have a quick look at Nagpur's numbers, this is something we discussed even in the preview with Brad Hodge and Hemang Badani yesterday, that the teams chasing have had 5 out of 5. Does that play into calculations when you're the visiting team? The average score batting first is 277. Sunil Gavaskar did point out it may not be as easy to bat on this pitch. We have seen scores of 320, 350, even being chased down or getting close. And the Pacers average 41, spinners average 53. That's not a pleasant way to start your discussion on this. Right, let's focus on the other angle that India would like to get right now as they look to tick more and more boxes in their World Cup preparation. This is the, of course, last 4 ODIs now that they need to at least try and get some things going for them. Shikhar Dhawan's form. Now, would you say that it's reaching a point of concern, or do you just expect Shikhar Dhawan to do his thing and show up at ICC events? Deep, have we reached a point, if we just look at his last 10 innings, 2 half centuries only in it, we know what he's capable of, but is there that little doubt that Shikhar Dhawan's not quite peaking at a time when you want him to be?
Well, yes, it is a concern. I mean, let's be honest, it is a concern. Even though, look at those averages, you look at those numbers, they just tell you that not just last 10 innings. If you look at last 6-8 months, it hasn't been that great for Shikhar, because at times he's got starts against England. He got starts, but then didn't convert them. That's one of the reasons why your third opener becomes very, very essential, and that is one of the reasons that the team management was and the chairman of selector emphasized on taking a proper third opener. And that's my issue with Shikhar. At times he's too inconsistent. But having said that, as you mentioned, and ICC events, he comes across as a totally different batsman.
I think he wouldn't mind not facing Jason Behrendorff with the new ball. You agree?
Yes, I mean, not just him, even Rohit. And to be very honest, if you look at the numbers, the Indian top order batsmen against left-arm seamers, they're not very impressive, are they?
All right. Shikhar Dhawan, curious case of Dhawan. You know you've got an opening bat slightly out of form. Australia have a similar predicament with Aaron Finch. What does it take to just set it right, Hodgie? Do you keep these guys, you keep giving them a game? In Shikhar Dhawan's case, there's a case to perhaps even play KL Rahul and rest Shikhar Dhawan. Do you keep him playing in a series where you want him to get some runs, and it perhaps plays into him that he isn't playing Behrendorff with the new ball?
Probably got 3 or 4 games, haven't you, to try and get that recipe right. I mean, if you think of the reverse and think if you took Jasprit Bumrah out of Aaron Finch's eye line, he'd be pretty comfortable, wouldn't he? So I'm not sure why they've dropped Behrendorff. I think he's one which has certainly troubled the Indian top order, not only last game, but in particular in recent history as well. He's been quite dominant. So taking away one of those strike bowlers that can actually put India under pressure early, I'm not sure is the best idea. But Aaron Finch, well, look, he just needs the bat. He's just got a lot of things on his mind at the moment. He's probably taking up a lot more than he should with the captaincy role. And, he's probably trying to mould a new youngish side into being successful with Justin Langer. But it's going to take time. You need patience. But, as a batsman, I guess a lot of people are starting to run out of patience, unfortunately.
Right. Let's get straight into the Aaron Finch discussion, which is next in line. Now, there are many things that surround Australian cricket that Australian fans would want answers to. Aaron Finch's form is certainly one point of concern. We just look at the numbers, and we also have seen numbers in the build-up to this game that he's a different batsman when he's just playing as a batsman and not as captain. Make what you want of those readings, but an average of 16 in international cricket since October 2018. So that's what we've got, lots of single-digit scores. To be fair, he's got a couple of good ones, hasn't he, Hodgie? It's not like he's only been getting a couple of bad ones and throwing it away. How do you arrest this downfall?
Well, that's the problem, isn't it? Aaron Finch just keeps coming up against Jasprit Bumrah, and he's causing him some trouble. So, as I said yesterday, I think it's time that Australia played someone else in this series to get Aaron Finch back in some form. Look, it's difficult. Maybe you can just pop him down the order for a couple of games, give him an opportunity to get himself into the game. The other thing is that he's also a completely different player with David Warner at the other end. So. Given the fact that Warner will come back shortly, that partnership of Finch and Warner at the top is very much a dangerous one for players in world cricket. So I just give Aaron Finch a little bit more time. It doesn't matter too much. The World Cup's vitally important, but make sure we need to start winning some games. So the captain's form is an issue. I'd just like to see him bat see if he can bat for 40 or 50 overs and see what happens after that.
Right. It's sometimes a strange way to try and put this question. I know it was tried putting to Aaron Finch too about captaincy and whether he enjoys it, whether he's seeing himself as at least for the immediate future, as the option. But is he someone you think would welcome being captain? I know everyone would want to lead their side in a World Cup, but would he be the sort of player that wouldn't mind the responsibility given to someone else so he could just bat, given that, and do Australia even have that someone else?
The thing with Finch is he's such a caring human being, actually, and he does take into consideration that there's 15 guys on tour, and he makes sure that he gets time with those guys and trying to lift their game as well. So, look, it's very hard. I think he's got great leadership skills, and he's a great thinker of the game. He digests the statistics, and he's happy to take on any information from anyone else, the players and the coaching staff. So for me, I think he's a great leader. The only thing that's missing is some runs off the middle of that New Balance bat, and according to Adams, Zambra's too far away, but let's hope that's the case.
Very well. Now, how much of this, Deep, sometimes when you're out of form becomes just a personality thing? Shikhar Dhawan, for whatever little I know of him, may not even bother that he's out of form. He may have no idea that he's got just 2 50s in his last 10 innings. He might just get a score today. He seems like one of those who just goes on regardless of whether he's got 100 in the last innings or a duck. Aaron Finch, it seems to be getting to him. There's also that psyche against Bumrah. How much of this is just mental and based different personality to personality?
Look, I think it's completely mental.
Yeah, carry on. Deep, both of you can jump in. One at a time.
I just wanted to make a point as far as Finch is concerned because, I think that also his poor form also coincided with his Test debut. He was out and out white ball cricketer. Not only did he make his Test debut, he made his Test debut as an opener. And suddenly you see that confusion in him. And as you mentioned, I think it's more mental than anything else. I mean, Finchy, I've seen him before. He just batted the way he wanted. We didn't think too much. But as soon as you put him in that, red ball cricket scenario and that as an opener, I think that has made a huge difference. I think somebody needs to just talk to him and say, listen, forget everything else. Just concentrate on your white ball cricket. And as far as Shikhar is concerned, listen, Ronak, every time his back is to the wall, he bounces back. And I wouldn't be surprised now that we started talking and everyone started talking about, Shikhar Dhawan, does he need a rest? You can expect a big one from him.
Okay, that's usually how it happens. Whoever we talk down ends up scoring, whoever we talk up ends up getting nothing. So that gives you a nice indication, Deep and Hodge, on getting your Fab 4 picks in just a bit. But before that, our next talking point involves we've spoken of how this series would like to see India test out players, identify reserve options too. The seamers seems to be another point of discussion. Mohammad Shami's rise in resurgence in ODI cricket has been something that the selectors and the team management would welcome. You just look at some of the numbers that Mohammad Shami's had in recent years, and he hasn't played as much, but since 2019, 8 matches, 16 wickets. He's been a regular since that fine Test series win for India down under. And even overall, you look at those numbers, 5.46 at an economy and an average of 25. I asked the question to Hemang Badani yesterday, Deep. We're looking for perhaps the third seamer, assuming Bumrah and Bhuvi are the first two. Mohammad Shami is making a strong case to be the second seamer.
Absolutely. I won't be surprised if it's going to be Bumrah Shami. Because Shami, the biggest change has been his fitness levels. If you remember 2015 World Cup, he was phenomenal when he came in. But then he had his injury issues, he had his operations and everything else. But from the start of 2018, can you beat it? He hasn't missed a single Test match. That is so unlike Shami. A couple of years ago, you wouldn't expect him to play the whole series. But here, he's been playing non-stop the last 13, 14 months. And that's been the big difference. Now, yes, having said that, it's going to be really tough for the team management. That's, again, where Hardik becomes very, very important, because Bhuvneshwar's batting might give him the edge over Shami times, I believe.
Yeah, you have that calculation to count as well. India have chosen not to have a very long tail at times, given most of their frontline bowlers can't bat. But Hodge had a pretty good World Cup even in 2015. In fact, a very good World Cup in 2015. He was one of the surprise elements that India bowled their way well through the group stage of the 2015 World Cup. Very different from Bhuvneshwar Kumar as far as the type of bowlers that they may be, but just in terms of the skill set they possess, if you had to pick one ahead of the other, purely on bowling pedigree, who would you pick?
Look, I think I'd probably pick Bhuvneshwar Kumar first, but I'm not sure Mohammad Shami can be left out at the moment. One of the great things about what India's got at the moment, they're going over to play in England, and it's should swing around, should seem a little bit, so that should suit Bhuvi. But got some blessed with some fast bowlers at the moment. That Test series out here in Australia, your fast bowling crew is outstanding. It's continued on in white ball cricket. So you could pick either one of them, and they're going to do a great job for the captain.
Yes, Deep.
The other important thing I would like to see Shami do is bowl in the death. In the last game as well, he was phenomenal in the first first couple of spells. But again, in the death, he went for 22 odd runs. So his record, even though he's come back really well, but I would really like to see him bowl in the death and get his Yorkers and slow ones right in death.
He seems to be one of those that when he has his tail up, though, is just a different bowler. And that's happened since the summer. We speak of Aaron Finch's test form translating into one-day form and perhaps bringing it down. Shami seems to be the reverse story. His test form is propelled, Sama's ODI form, Deep.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's like I said, it's the way he's running it.
Yeah.
I think it's a lot fitter than what he was pre-2018, between that 2015 to 2018. And now he looks fit. He's playing every match. He's running in every ball. And listen, he's got the best release in the world. I don't think anyone in world cricket right now has a better release than him. So obviously, as you just asked that question to Hodge, and I believe purely bowling wise, I think Shami is ahead of Bhuvneshwar, but I think that get into the picture while picking up the playing 11.
Yeah, I'd be very keen to see what team India goes with next game and Bhuvneshwar Kumar returns to the squad, but that could very well be a call taken for rest as well, depending on how this result goes. But if you are looking at just the entire seam bowling department and looking at the reserves that India have, and you look at the numbers for India's pacers since that 2015 World Cup, now Mohammad Shami's played the least from that list. You count Hardik Pandya in that as well, who plays more as the all-rounder. Umesh Yadav, what's the future for him? If you look at that average for Mohammad Shami, it's always been good in white ball cricket. So there's a little more for you to sink your teeth into if you'd like for Mohammad Shami, making a strong enough case for himself as it is. Right, let's see if Mohammad Shami features. After all the good things you guys have said, it puts a lot of pressure on you all to actually pick these guys in your Fab 4. Reminder of what our Fab 4 is on ESPN Cricinfo Match Day. It's our experts picking 4 players, and depending on how those players do in the game, in a fantasy style system customized by us, they get some points. One point each for a run, 50 runs and 100 runs get you bonus points. And as far as the bowlers go, 10 bonus points for 3 wickets, 20 for 5 wickets. Each wicket gets you 20 points. And the bowler of the best economy also stands to win some bonus points. Points for fielding as well. And of course, whichever expert has the most points at the end of the day is the winner. So who wants to go first? It was a slightly hilarious toss with the coin hitting Ranjan Madhukale, and it went to Aaron Finch. So I'll go for the Aussie first. Brad Hodge, would you like to pick your 4?
Yeah. I'm just doing the sums. I'll go with Sean Marsh, actually. Number 1, I'll go with Rohit Sharma, Virat Kohli, and Adam Zampa.
Okay, so much for how good Mohammad Shami's been looking. Deep Dasgupta, your turn.
Bumrah, Virat.
Did you mention 2 Bumrahs? Because you're not allowed to do that, Deep.
Why?
You just mentioned 2 Bumrahs, didn't you?
Oh no, okay, just one. One is enough, I guess.
Yeah. Carry on. Bumrah, Virat.
Yeah, Bumrah, Virat, Maxwell, and Rohit.
Okay, I was hoping that you guys pick 8 cricketers, like no overlaps, but it looks like Virat and Rohit are the way to go. Come on, Deep, try. I don't mean to manipulate you, but you said Shikhar Dhawan back against the wall. We've talked him down.
No, then if I have to change it,
No, you don't have to. You don't have to. But
I might put Pat Cummins in that mix as well.
So who you now? You've picked like 5 people. So who are you putting Pat Cummins in for?
No, Cummins is my is my 12th man.
Is your 12th man? So no. Then I'm sticking with your original 4. That's Bumrah, Virat, Maxwell, Rohit. So the difference could very well be what Sean Marsh and Adam Zampa tend to be, or what Bumrah and Maxwell tend to be. Let's get a scoreline now. From whatever little we got to see of the toss, Sunil Gavaskar saying there are cracks in it. It could be slightly hard to get those big scores. But a number for you, Deep, that India would be happy with?
70.
270. Hodgie?
Yeah, 280.
Very well. Let's see how close India get to that. Many thanks to Deep Dasgupta and Brad Hodge. We will have the pleasure of their company on our halftime show as well. Do join us for it. Check the ESPN Cricinfo mobile app for ball-by-ball updates and the very latest surrounding this game. We'll see you at halftime and take your questions on Maruti Suzuki Arena presents ESPN Cricinfo Match Day.